Hi, you guys. Welcome
Hello.
back. It's the Conscious
I almost
Cowboys.
said howdy. Yeah, you got the Conscious Cowboys.
And
Madison and Tess. Tess and Madison.
nice. That's a good introduction.
Thanks.
I just wanted to say thanks to everybody who on the last episode gave it so much love, and I feel like it was such a hit, and we still had so much left to say.
Yes, we have a part 2 coming, which we did say that at the end.
Yeah.
So.
But then I feel like the fire was really lit because everyone was like, "That was such a fun one. I loved that." So.
Oh, so now we're keeping it. We're keeping the fire going.
Yeah.
It's roaring now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
So, hi everybody again. I hope everyone's having a great day. For us, it's Friday.
How are you guys doing? It's Friday, dude. What's up? Oh, going in for the handshake, but we'll do high five too.
I was going up.
I know. I was
Okay.
going in for the handshake.
So it's Friday. We're in a good mood, wrapping up our work week.
Yeah.
And Madison leaves for Croatia next week, so we have to like get ahead of the game.
Which is actually so good for us because we need to just be ahead of the game in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Just ask Bree, the gal who's helping us with our social media. She would vouch for that. She'd be like, yes, we do.
Yes.
But why don't you kick us off with some continuation of cowboy cheat codes?
Okay. So I'll go for one that's pretty mellow at the start. Make time to be early.
Oh,
This?
if I've learned anything from Madison, it's this.
Okay. So I like to think anyway that I'm a very prompt person. Like I just like to be on time. And since I have that belief I've had that belief for most of my life, I am good at being on time. Like I can just like sense when I'm going to be on time. So I act accordingly. So this helps me. This is like a very simple one, but I feel like it goes in line with slowing down. Like it helps me to slow down if I like make time to be early. Like for example, if I wake up early to go to a yoga class and like make sure that I have enough time to drive to the yoga class. So it's like if I'm on the road and I'm driving to yoga, I'm not pissed off that someone's going underneath the speed limit in front of me because I've got time. Like I've made time and I'm so chill leaving the house. I'm not in a rush that I get in my car, easy music is on. That's okay. This person can go slow, even though that's like one of my biggest pet peeves is like when people go under the speed limit. That's a tough one for me, honestly. I like rather have people speeding, to be honest. I'm like, just go. But anyway, make time to be early.
Yeah, I think because my habit was not that, I historically have been like cutting it right up to the edge, and I don't factor in drive time, which is something that like as an adult you should definitely be able to figure out, like how much time does it take me to get from here to here.
Totally.
So I'm on time.
And a lot of times some things happen on the road where you're just like unaccounted for, and if you're already late then you're totally screwed. Yeah.
Or it's like I didn't think about how long that was actually realistically going to take me from A to B. Like I would always undershoot it, and then it would take way more time, and then I'd have not enough time to execute what I thought I was going to get done that day, or not enough time to properly nourish my body, or whatever the case may be. And it was like this rat race where I was continuing the cycle. Madison's like, you just need to start planning your days better and like factor in drive time. And I was like, oh,
Right.
so simple.
Right. Yeah, that's why I'm also like a big advocate for getting up early. Like getting up earlier than I need to be, like, because I've said this on the podcast of like, oh, I want to like have a morning before I like go do the rest of my morning, just so it's like does essentially regulate your nervous system so you are able to slow down and just relax a little bit versus rushing out the door, which sometimes you can't help that and things just happen and you need to rush out the door. That's okay, but at least you
minimize it.
Yeah, at least you had 6 days out of the week that were slow going and you planned.
Yes. Okay, one that I have, which we talked about this earlier, Mad, you and I.
Okay.
Do your best to not speak negatively about other people because it's going to cause anxiety.
Yes.
Like picture you've just said some stuff, and then the next time you see that person, you know what you said.
Right.
You don't feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
It's not right. Or it might not even be that far in advance. It might not be like, oh, the next time you see that person, you could be laying in bed at night going, oh, I like kind of regret saying that.
Yeah, like I don't feel good about that.
Like
the other party that was with me that heard me say that stuff
probably doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they probably thought like, damn, all right, Madison. Yeah, I do sometimes. I will randomly think about that during the day. Like if I've said something that was just like out of character for me, and I think about like, great, how did that other person perceive me? And I'll think about it like 3 days later and just be like, God, that was not my strongest moment. Like I'm a little embarrassed of that, and now I know going forward, we don't do that.
Yeah. So if you find yourself in a position where you're about to reel it in, something that my ex-boyfriend's mom taught me that I have seriously kept with me is don't make a judgment about like the person, or don't blame the person, but like look at the action. So instead of saying, like, say if we're talking about someone, right? We don't want to talk about someone. We want to talk about the action. So it's like, say Madison, I don't know, like what's a good example that you would like talk shit about someone for? Like she's such a bitch, right? She like always just gives like, I don't know, like she's like so gossipy.
Okay. Sure.
Instead of like demonizing Madison, just be like,
look at the action that I was talking shit on.
Like,
okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's actually really good, because then you can come from a place of understanding, which we talk about a lot. I like that. Okay. Food for thought.
Food for thought.
Perfect. Okay, so so I wore this bracelet for a reason. So I wore this in the last podcast. It's the Karanom one, okay, which we explained. But I wore this because I was like, okay, we remembered the word that this reminded Tessa of, and it's Anam Kara, which I didn't look up the origins of it, and I forgot to do that. But that essentially means soul bonded, and we were saying that it's basically an anagram for Karanom, but there's missing, I think there's like two letters that are switched up. But there's no way that
the author
Sarah
did
J.
it on
Maas,
purpose.
yeah, she for sure, she knew what she was doing. Okay, so let's see. Okay, well, we kind of talked about this, but about awareness. Like we kind of talked like being in the yellow, being in the white, whatever.
Okay.
Practicing consideration for others, which I parlayed into being aware in general. I think consideration for others, like that is a top characteristic that I look for in a partner and in friends. Because and not saying that like if you don't have that, you're inherently bad. No, but I'm just saying like let's be aware of that. Like thinking about how your behavior affects others, or basically that. Thinking like, how would this affect the people around me, what I'm doing right now, and how I hold myself in space? Just think about it.
Yeah, not being as selfish is essentially another way of wording it, right?
Yeah, essentially, yes. Yeah.
I think that's a good one.
Thank you.
Regulate your nervous system. This is like...
That's a small task.
Yeah. But I mean, I made notes of like...
Yes, no, I'm
breathe,
just giving you shit.
Put yourself in nature, move your body. I think so many of us go through our days and don't actively regulate ourselves, and then we find ourselves in a really heightened state where everything feels out of control and it feels unmanageable, and we just can't go any further, and it like really puts us in a tough spot. So if you actively take steps to regulate yourself, and for everybody that looks different, right? For some people that's like really rigorous breath work. For some people that's just calling up a loved one on the phone and like chit-chatting after a long day on their drive home from work. Whatever that may be for you, find it and use it often to get yourself back to ground level.
Yeah, I agree. I think that brings up like a lot of other cheat codes that I don't even think I have on my list. But one of them is like ask yourself questions. So I guess in relation to that, it's just so you can understand how you can regulate your nervous system. It's just by asking yourself questions and listening to the answers. And I had another one, but you mentioned going in nature. That's for sure another cheat code. Like that to me is like connecting to self, and like what I imagine like home within myself looks like is if I just go out and like am with nature and I don't have music in and I'm just typically hiking. Like that's usually what my nature experience is hiking.
Yeah, mine is just honestly like even if I don't have time for a hike, just walk around your neighborhood, even if it's not really naturist. Like even if you live in New York, right? Just get out and walk the block, get some fresh air, see people, see life around you, because you can be so in your head and so in your own little world. And then you just need to be like, oh, okay, I'm out.
Yes. Like I think, I don't know who I was telling this to, but The other day, I had to do something that was kind of just like out of my routine. And so I went and stood by the ocean, and just to see like the vastness of it just calmed me down. Because I was like, okay, what you're worried about right now is actually, it's pretty insignificant in comparison to like this.
Yeah.
So,
or I'm even trying to just even scale it back further. If you can't go for a walk right now, like if you're injured or something like that, go sit at a park if you don't live near the beach. Like just go somewhere that feels like it's open space and you can actually just quiet, take a deep breath.
yes, agreed. Good one.
Thanks.
Okay. Another one. These are so like basic. Like one of them that I wrote down was find things that make you feel awe in life, or awe of life. In awe of life. Find things that make you feel in awe of life.
There we go.
Yes, that. So, for example, I am really into reading about mythology right now, which, again, my cousin Kelly and me, like, we are just fascinated with it. And that makes me feel in awe of life. It's just like there are these, like, ancient stories that have similarities to our modern lifestyle that we can connect to. And that's seriously, like, mind-blowing to me. And I think it's really fun. So, finding things that are like that for you just makes life more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
cute. Just picture Madison at night with her like warm orange light in her whole bedroom, just in bed, blankets up to her chest, elbows out, reading her little book about mythology.
Yeah.
With a pen,
and that's
because you
why
mark
I can't
it
go to
up.
bed. Literally, I get too excited before I go to bed, and then all of a sudden I'm finding myself in bed at midnight, and I'm just like, how did we get here? So like I told Tess the other day, I was like, reading used to be my thing going to bed at night, and now I do not read. It's rare that I read at night because it makes me too excited. So now I just stretch while listening to a playlist that I made that has very calming music. And then I start to get kind of tired and maybe I journal, and then I'll lay in bed and turn my lights off and just lay there. And then I actually realize how tired I am. Like, I don't know I'm tired until I do that. And I'm laying down. I'm like, oh, I'm actually pretty tired. And then I go to sleep. So
good job.
I know, but it's hard because like I want to read. Like I hadn't been able to read all day, so it's like
I get that.
Yeah.
Like that's normally your time for it, and now
But now I'm just like, you know what? You need the sleep, so we got to change up the routine.
Don't we?
Yeah, I do.
If you guys can learn anything from Madison, it's to be fluid.
Yeah.
And to release things that no longer work for you. Like I am someone who's like, for example, like I'm having a really hard time wearing what I normally wear to work out, and it's just not agreeing with my body. And I'm like, no. And then Madison's like, well, it just is what it is. Like you just got to throw that shit out, get something new. And I'm like, you're right.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can just do that.
Yeah.
You have to take inventory of the thoughts that you keep circling on and recognize how they weigh on you. So that is just to point at the things, like specifically old beliefs that you may be having, or even just new beliefs that you're introducing to yourself that actually maybe aren't the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so you
say that again.
They're either old beliefs or new beliefs that you're introducing that you just keep circling on that maybe aren't the truth.
Okay.
Right? Like it's really hard for our brains to figure out what is true and what is not, because we can assign truth to anything.
Yes.
And being able to like really look at the thoughts for what they are and go, is this? For example, hiking in Hawaii, I was having like one hell of a time, losing energy, losing steam. It was like a really short length hike, like 5 miles, but something about it was just really rigorous for me. And we were with one of my best friends and her boyfriend, who is like top athletic performance.
Peak athlete.
Does some crazy shit. And I was just like having a total mental block. And I made a comment about like why I didn't want to go further. And he's like, what's your truth right now? And
Dude, when people ask you questions
so
like that,
confronting.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah. And I wanted to push him off the mountain and give him a hug at the same time, because I was like, God, don't ask that, because I know that I'm wrong in this moment, but I did need you to say that because I will keep going. And I'm not a quitter.
So what was your truth?
Well, my truth was that I was really fatigued. And if you guys have been listening for a while, you know that I haven't been able to move my body like I normally do because I've been dealing with some health stuff. So with that, this was my first real hike back in an area I've never been, conditions that were like not what I was used to. And we're up at the top, like on this really skinny ridgeline. It's like a super technical thing that you have to walk through. And I was just like, I don't want to go like do that rope climb. Like that doesn't even look fun to me right now. Like I'm just over it. And he was just like, of course you can do it, but like, what's your truth right now? Like, what are you telling yourself? And I was like, that I'm tired and that my feet feel wobbly and I don't really want to go climb up a mud wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, totally.
So sometimes you are right, but then sometimes you're just having a mental block.
Yeah, just like we were talking about this thing earlier that I saw on my Tumblr that I think about often. It's like, should this actually be hurting my feelings or am I being a bitch right now? And 9 times out of 10, I'm being a little bitch.
It is really humbling to figure that out about yourself,
It
right?
is.
If
I'm
you
just
just
like,
pause
does
and you're
that
like,
really need to
wimp.
be hurting my feelings right now? Yeah. And it's just like, actually, no, it doesn't. You haven't gotten enough sleep and you're being ridiculous.
It's so funny. This like whole pattern of not taking things personally just keeps coming back, everybody.
It does.
It just circles
it's so
again.
important. That's
every
why
day.
it's one of the 4 agreements. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so kind of along the lines of what you were just saying, which we were talking about this earlier, be open to shifting your perspective on things.
Major. Who likes hanging out with a closed-minded person? Do you even like
do
hanging out with
not.
yourself when you're closed-minded?
No, but there are many people who are closed-minded, and it is very interesting to navigate interactions with them. But I just think like specifically on a personal level, like changing my perspective around things has been so helpful for my mental health. For example, I love saying, for example, for some reason, it just isn't part of my vocabulary right now. Okay. I was in traffic yesterday for quite a few hours and I was thinking, you know what? My typical or atypical pattern would be to be upset that I'm in traffic. Like, why is this even happening right now? You know? And then I'm thinking, no. I saw a fatal crash on my way to an appointment that I was going to. That could have been me. Like, I'm lucky that I get to sit in traffic right now. In my nice car, I have beef jerky. I have water. I'm looking at the ocean as I'm going home to my beautiful house, you know? Mm-hmm. So, like, switching your perspective, even in the tiniest ways, I think is so helpful. And that also can wrap into another cheat code that I have is, like, recognizing the emotions, recognizing why you're having an emotion or experiencing an emotion. So if I'm going back to the traffic example, I'm sitting in traffic and I'm mad and I'm angry and I'm hungry. Okay, why? Just simply asking yourself a question as to why. It's because I don't think I should be sitting in this traffic, but I changed my perspective to like, you're alive, like you're breathing. That's fucking cool. Like you're not allowed to have this hurt your feelings right now. Like, let's relax. But like identifying like why you're feeling a certain feeling, I think is really helpful. Because usually you can either squash it right then and there or just like look at something deeper. And I feel like it can become like a really easy practice and you just get to know yourself and it makes it even better.
Yeah, you're going to talk yourself out of shit too.
Yeah.
Because you're like, that mood?
I'm angry because of that person just did that. But does that actually matter? No. Yeah. So
that's a good one.
Yeah. Just shifting things in my brain so that I have a better experience in life really is a game changer.
Mastery, self-mastery. Yeah. Social media will drain you and steal more time than you can even imagine. So it's like, obviously social media is wonderful and maybe that's even how you found us. Awesome. And there's great things about it. Like I do find inspiration or I find helpful things on there that I wouldn't have been privy to unless I was on that app.
Totally.
But if you're not using it intentionally, you will find yourself clicking on that app and spending time, valuable time, because every second you have is worth it, scrolling away on mindless stuff. And I think there is something to be said about being part of like our greater collective. And that's how we participate in our culture these days and stuff like that. And that's fun. And there's a time and place for it. But if you're using it while you're driving, if it's the first thing you look at in the morning and the last thing you look at before you go to bed, and if you turn on a TV show and then you also turn on your phone, like, whoa, you know, I think we've got to pause and recognize really how much time we're spending. And if you turn on your blocker that will like turn it off after 30 minutes, you will realize how fast that actually happens. And it will humble you. And if you look at your screen time, that will also humble you. And you think about how much time you could be spending on things that you actually care about instead of that app.
Mm-hmm.
Not to guilt trip. Obviously, it's on my list because it's something that I'm practicing too.
Yeah.
But damn.
I know. I don't really struggle with that one quite as much, but it is good to hear this perspective.
I think you're definitely awesome for you, an outlier on that. Like most people have that fixation with it.
Yeah.
Because it's designed to be that way. It's designed to be short form content that's really attractive for the eye and like go, go, go.
Mm-hmm.
You can like turn off a whole part of your brain and just consume.
Right. I think like a lot of times when I go on to social media, like if I'm wanting to go on to social media, I first ask myself, why do I need to go on it? Like, is it a matter of me being bored? Like, am I wanting, I think we've talked about this on the podcast. Am I wanting validation? Like, am I wanting to laugh? And then I think like when I find out my reason, it usually in my head clicks like, oh, I don't think I'll be satisfied. Like that reason will not be satisfied if I go on Instagram right now. So then I just don't.
Or maybe, okay, let's use that example. Say you want to be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yeah, I see really funny stuff on Instagram. So I'd open it up and then I'd like, look, do I have DMs? Because we all do that, right? We all send each other shit. All right, nothing really there. Might go scroll. Okay, it's not fulfilling the objective of being like entertaining for me. Bye.
Yes.
Let me go do something else then.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's just like rewiring that pattern, I guess, in your brain. Because then I think, okay, well, would reading fulfill this right now? Or do I need to just go talk to Tess or like get a hug? Like, would that be better? And then I saw this concept, which you probably have seen. It's like resting versus rotting. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
But I was like, this is so applicable because basically resting versus rotting. Resting will increase your life energy. Okay. Rotting, scrolling mindlessly on your phone and not actually getting anything out of it. Those are the distinctions between the two. So I guess like defining which one is which for you. Obviously, not black and white. Like you could say that scrolling on your phone is resting for you and you do gain more life energy from that. Fucking awesome. But a lot of the times I do not think that that's true.
Yeah.
So something to think about.
Yeah. Sometimes you go on for a little mood boost, right? And you're like, oh yeah, I got some funny videos.
Sometimes it can be.
And then you're like, okay,
awesome.
let me get on with my day. But if you're sitting there for like an hour,
is that really doing you any good?
Do you know those people? We've all got these people who anytime you see any video like that comes up or someone sends it to you, they've already liked it.
Yes.
Imagine the screen time.
Yes. I know a few of those people in my head.
I've got 5 I can list right now.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Anyway,
social media, use with caution.
Yes. Okay. Another one. So I was listening to podcasts yesterday and have you heard, I'm sure you've seen like the little video. It's on Rich Roll's podcast, which I just like literally love him. Okay. Like sometimes I'll be listening and I'm like, I think like I actually love him. Like it's not right. Anyway, so it was with, did you rip your Band-Aid off?
Whole time? No, I've had these on, guys. I have scar tape on a bug bite and on, I have like
I don't think anyone can see those.
I don't know. But if you can, you didn't, right?
But I'm sure people are really excited that you're barefoot. We'll probably get more views on this video.
You guys better like this just because my feet are out. I did it for you. No, I did it just for you, but.
Okay.
No,
just because you just didn't want to put shoes.
I just want to put shoes on. I'm in my house.
Don't say that because people already come at me for wearing fucking slippers on the couch.
I wear shoes almost every podcast. All right. Anyways, back to our story.
Okay. So I was listening to a Rich Roll podcast yesterday and the guest was Ellen Langer, who is like a Harvard professor, doctor, extraordinaire. And I think she just wrote a book. It's something about mindfulness, like mind-body connection. And she was talking about analysis paralysis. Okay.
One of our old terms.
Yes. And I think that you've seen this on Instagram because I feel like we've talked about this, but I had to write it down because I was like, oh my God. So when you're feeling indecisive, which I think a lot of us deal with that because I feel like we just have so many choices in life now. So it's difficult to make a decision and stick with it and feel like you made the right decision. Okay, so what Ellen Langer says is don't worry about making the right decision. Make your decision right.
Yes. Okay.
Which
this
is so good.
Yes, this is her.
Yes.
This is who I've seen then.
Okay, so that podcast, first off, Ellen Langer and Rich Roll, I think it's an amazing podcast and I learned a lot from it. And she has just this way of speaking where she doesn't believe anything, essentially. Like anything, any concept that is seen as like truth, she sees like another side to it. And I'm like, dude, I relate to that so hard. And I'm glad that there are more people like me. I love that. So when she said that, I was just like, this is so cool, like about the decisions, because I know a lot of people who like are afraid to make the right, wrong move. And so they don't do anything at all. And I think a lot of us are stuck with that. So it's good.
You just do it. And then you're like,
make that decision the right one, because that is the right decision. You can't go back in time. And like, then she was also talking about like regret, how like you can't even regret it. Like regret is stupid.
yeah, well, because there's this belief that this could have happened if, but that did not happen. So now what?
Right.
What's the point?
Yeah. And she was going into like, you know, deeper topics of like, not just, oh, I'm picking this for dinner today. It's like, oh, getting an abortion versus not getting an abortion. Like you just make that decision right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to re-listen. I don't even know if I gave the full episode a listen. I think I just consumed whatever they had shared online about it, which is so silly because it really stuck with me. So then to not go and listen to the full episode.
Yeah.
Classic.
But it's hard because it was like, you know, close to 2 hours long. So it's like when I drive. But it was funny because a lot of times when Rich Roll has guests on his podcast, they obviously have a fluid conversation. And there was a lot of times where she was like interrupting him. And I thought it was so funny because I was just like, God, he can't get a word in. Like, this is funny to see this happen to him because we've had guests on in the past where we could not get a word in. We were just like, God, they really bulldozed over us. But to see like someone who's been doing it and he's like top in the business and that was happening to him, it made me feel so much better. I was like, okay, good.
So it happens to us all.
Yes.
Good. Yeah. I love when you say good.
Do I say it a lot?
No, I wouldn't say a lot. I think in our personal life.
Okay, probably. I actually laugh because I give like a lot of positive reinforcement a lot of the time. Like I'll be listening back to our podcast and I'll just be like, oh my God, that's such a good one. Like I say that like 1,000 times and I notice that I say that to people in life and I'm just like, that's like an actual like quirk that I have.
I like that about you.
No, I know. I like it too, but I just have been noticing that with myself. Like it just like comes out. I'm like, you're doing a good job, you know, like randomly. So, yeah.
One I put down on here is to tap into nostalgia.
Okay, cute.
Because I think you and I do that. I think we'll like have place
we did
markers.
It like literally 15 minutes ago.
Exactly. We have like things that make us feel like ourselves or remind us of a specific time. And then we'll go a long time without hearing it. I'm sure this sounds just like you too, right? We all do this. And then you revisit it and you're like, oh, it brings up old feelings or it brings up like a sweet memory or it brings up something that just like makes you feel more like you.
Yes.
Because what you could be doing on a daily basis right now could be completely different from what you're used to. And that can feel really alienating and like, wow, I don't feel like myself at all. And then if you tap back into those things, you're reminded of who you are and it makes you feel really nice. And we can all use moments where we feel really nice.
Yes, it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as an example is we were listening to Lynyrd Skynyrd before we were recording this and Simple Man's to be specific. And it reminded Tess of being on the boat. And like, we just have like very similar childhoods. So when we have like a memory, we're like, oh my God, this Police song was on the boat that we used to ride on when we were fucking 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. And it actually does put you back in that place. And like, you feel it for a second. And you're just like, oh wait, yeah, me getting mad at this one little thing on my computer doesn't actually matter because
irrelevant.
Yeah. These memories of when I'm going to go on a boat again or the memories I have with my family, that just overrules everything.
It just brings you back to like what's real.
Yes. And then also like why you do these things that make you irritated on my computer because I need to make money so that I could live this life.
Yeah. Or
just
okay.
Is the way it goes.
Another example could be we go on like nightly walks for the most part. And we've lived in a couple different places where obviously those walks have now changed. And to go back and do that walk again and just to realize like what of a different place you are in compared to
my
when you were
gosh.
doing those walks.
Yeah.
That is crazy. If you guys haven't done that, go back to an old neighborhood and walk the path you used to walk.
Okay, it's so interesting that you're saying this because I saw this thing that says it's about like changing the narrative, and it will be like laugh in the places that you've cried. And that's kind of similar to that, because it's like then you rewrite that story of like what this walk means, you know? It's pretty cool. Okay. Another thing, let's see. I wrote down, which I know that you will agree with this, with everything that we're both saying. Develop strong relationships with women. Oh my gosh. This
will change your
it's
life.
a big one. It will change your life.
Yeah. And I know what you're touching on too is there's an element of like, don't compete with women, right?
Right.
We're both really big on that.
Yeah.
The more you can feel connected to your peers and the less competition you feel with them, the better experience you both will have, which I know is not rocket science. It's not an original thought. But if you find yourself competing or comparing, it's like, for what?
Right.
Because we've been conditioned to do that, because that's what's expected of us, because we're pitted against each other. But by who? Like, start to really unwind and figure out what is going on here. And do I actually even feel that way inherently? Or is that just an old pattern of mine?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good thing to question. We see this, the most dramatic example that I can think of is on Below Deck. We see competition between women, and it's just really crazy because I feel like I don't have that with females in my life. So then to see it happening, I'm glad that I'm reminded that that is a thing, because I feel like what we preach on the podcast, like if this episode is part 2 of like cheat codes for being a conscious cowboy, it's just like bringing that awareness to how special relationships with women can be, and that we're trying to create a community that does not behave in that way. I just think that it is like I would argue that the natural way is to be like one with one another, you know, with, especially if we're talking about like women to women relationships versus, you know, the natural order people think we need to be competitive. I just don't even see the point in that.
Well, it's very removed from nature to be like that. I mean, I know like nature does compete with itself, right? Like birds, to impress the female bird, they'll like fluff their feathers or something. That's like a very rudimentary example. But competition is not a human thing. But when we're talking like women versus women in like a societal perspective, like I get it. I mean, we obviously understand, and we have engaged in such behavior. I'm not saying that I'm like a saint and I've never competed with another woman, but of course not, right? But as we evolve and we become conscious cowboys,
that's right.
That's something to really keep tabs on. Yes,
because my relationships with my sisters are the most important relationships that I have. Some of the most important relationships, you know, like I can't even compare them to like relationships that I have with my dad, or, you know, it's just not the same. It's like, I actually need you guys. Like, you have made me who I am. So I think that that's why this is one of the cheat codes.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. My last one. Know where you want to go and let others help along the way. They're almost two completely different thoughts, but they do go hand in hand.
Yes. Especially as someone who doesn't like to accept help.
Philip and I had like a very deep talk the other night, because he's like, I love you, but you're so stubborn and you don't let anyone help you do anything. And I'm like, that's not true. But I think part of it stems from like not wanting to burden other people, which letting someone help you isn't a burden. If someone wants to help you, they will. And if they don't want to help you, then they won't. So what if you're like me and that's your beliefs, knock it off. But knowing where you want to go, like you can kind of apply this in multiple ways. But for me, it's like in terms of career, you have to be clear on where you want to go, because you can be influenced by what people think you should do or what you think people expect of you. And then it can deter you from where you actually want to go. So if you haven't gotten quiet with yourself and figured out, where am I headed? Then no one can really help you get there.
Right.
Because if you have a clear path and you're like, that's what I want, or you have a clear direction, someone can help you clear the path. Me being visual again.
Yeah, it's helpful.
But I was hearing, I think, Oprah, which like, whoa, random person to bring up on the pod.
Yeah, damn, I haven't heard of her in a while. She's just
I know,
chilling
out of
in her
Montecito.
Montecito house. So you're just living the life.
But she was saying that out of all of the successful people that she's interviewed, that is like a common thread between them, of that they know where they want to go.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Because then, like you said, you can clear the path and find people who will help you, or just milestones along the way that you need to get you to that one thing. I'm sure Oprah knew where she wanted to go, and look at her now.
Damn, Montecito looks pretty
Dude,
good, huh?
Yeah, it does. That's why I think it's also helpful that we keep redefining where we want cowboys to go, because I think that the clearer our vision is, like, the stronger we can be to achieve it. Yeah. So that's good. Okay. I'm surprised at this one. So I have like a few, like I have like a bit more, which I could just like read off of them or read them off. One, which how have I not said this earlier, is stretch. Like that is such a cheat code in my life. I like my middle name should honestly be Stretch. I swear to God. I just love it. And I think it's so important. And it just always makes me feel good. And I know that everyone, when I'm like, you should stretch, and they're like, well, pain is associated with stretching, so that's why I don't stretch. Are you overstretching? And also it's because you haven't been doing it enough. Like just do gentle stretches. No need to reach further than you can actually go because you think you should be more flexible, you know, like gentle movement. And like I was saying earlier in this episode, is that I've been doing it. Like I go to yoga pretty much every day, but I will stretch at night, and it's just like a check-in. Like, how was your day? Like I'll just have music on in the background and just be like laying on my floor doing like supine twists. And I'll just think like, okay, is there anything we need to run through today? Like anything where you're just like, I need to talk that out, or like, how can we like integrate this day fully in this moment? And combined with movement is so fucking good. So, and it's also like not forceful, which is really nice, because like the yoga practice I go to is pretty rigorous sometimes. So it's like nice to just be like on the ground and like listening to my body of like, well, would it feel good to like turn this way or like do this one twist? So cheat code for sure. And another thing, which I was saying this to you guys, you and Phil on our walk. I don't know if it wasn't last night, it must have been the night before. So I was thinking about this with like dating advice. Okay. So I was thinking about how like many people settle for a partner, and I don't typically like to do that. And I don't think that I will ever do that. So I was thinking about this and I wrote this down because I was thinking about this on my hike. Do I like him, or do I just want someone to want me and like me to want them? So I think like distinguishing that for me is really important, because I'm like, well, do I actually like them, or do I just want attention right now? Which, if you want attention, cool, get that attention. Nothing wrong with that. But for me specifically, that's something that I need to define and see what my answer is so that I can move accordingly. So, yeah.
So your cheat code is asking yourself.
I mean, I don't even know if that's a cheat code. I guess this could be a cheat code in dating. Maybe just like getting more clear on your intentions with this thing or this person. And then that also helps me if there's like a lack of communication between me and this person, or like some sort of confusion. It also helps with that, because if I define where I want to go with it, then I'm like, am I really mad that he just did that? Or is it because I want a little bit more attention? All right, maybe I want more attention. How do I find that not with that person?
Interesting. Helpful.
Yeah, it was helpful for me in the moment. I was like, dude, that just cleared up like a whole thing in my brain. Okay, so I could just rattle these off.
Please and thank you.
When you open yourself up to the world or to someone, and it's not received how you would like it to be received, something bad happens, you have hurtful feelings, whatever it is, do not let that harden you, and don't let yourself take that into the next experience.
Major.
Yes. Yeah. So I always have this thing where I've thought about this for a long time, is like, if I experience heartbreak, or if like judgment, something that is just like, you know, those icky feelings that I don't like to feel, I do not want that to predict how I go into a similar situation moving forward. Like, I just don't want life to harden me at all. And I want to keep like this joy and this hope and like optimism and maybe sometimes like a delusional view on things versus me thinking this is how it went the last time, it's going to go like this again.
Yeah, projection.
Yeah, I
right?
just don't want that. And I think that that's a normal human thing is like we want to be certain in uncertainty. Like uncertainty does not feel good, but everything is uncertain. Like that's what Ellen Langer was talking about in the podcast with Ritual. She was just like, it's so funny that we want to control all these things and we have this illusion that we are creating certainties in our life, but everything is uncertain. So if you just accept that, then it is what it is. Yeah. And I was just like, dude, that's yes. Agreed. Okay. Are we doing good
I'm
here?
good. I'm a sponge right now. I'm absorbing.
That's not normal for me. I'm like, oh my God, I can't be the only one
good.
talking.
No, it's fine because it's 222.
Oh my God. Okay. We're on the right path. The angels are with us. Let's see if I have anything else.
Everything's important, so take your time.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm listening. I think like when you're talking about the Ellen Langer podcast, I was just thinking like, I can't wait to go listen to it.
Yeah. It's honestly a really big one. I think that's pretty good. I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So when you want to leave us off with?
well, I think if we're back on like the dating thing and relationships in general, because like I'll talk about this with my cousin Kelly. She has a permanent spot on the podcast. But I just think of it as like it is another test to me. So it's like we talk through things on our auto messages and I'm like, God, that is so relevant. I need to say that on the podcast. Okay, so I think that we've talked about this many times. So I wrote this in my notes. I'm trying to think of like where I was going with this. Okay, so I wrote down nothing is predictable. So like I think it's like the uncertainty thing is like we try to create these little certainties so that we make ourselves feel better. And like when I accept that nothing is predictable, I don't push like these
Expectations.
stories, and expectations on people because like that's how he acted yesterday. So obviously he's going to act like that today and moving forward. It's like, no, nothing is actually predictable and all of us are allowed to adapt and change accordingly. So why don't you just let things go and take them as they come? We cross the bridge when it gets there or when we get there, and that's good enough.
Yeah.
I know it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Trust me, I realize that. And I have like some old patterning that I need to revise. But moving forward, like this is a cheat code that I want to implement all the time. And I feel like I am very good at it. And if I'm not, I can usually tell by like me not feeling good about something. I'm like, oh, whoa, where did the shift in my mood just go? And I'm like, oh, wait. Okay, let's look back. How did we get here? This old pattern. Do we believe in that anymore? No, we don't. So let's replace it with this new pattern. And how do you feel now? And I'm usually like, God, I feel good. And then it just reinforces it. And I'm able to go forward with a big fucking smile on my face.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. Madison's cracking the dating code back open and it makes me happy.
Yeah. Why not? You know?
Well, it makes me happy because I feel like a lot of people love to hear about like just dating and like love and like relationships on a podcast.
I really do like to experience like in my normal life, as if like being on the podcast
like alter egos.
Yeah. But I do like to experience it because it just it makes life more full. And then I also like to extract lessons from it, not only for myself, but also I can share on here because I think that that's really fucking awesome. And yeah, I was also thinking about this could be like the last thing that we leave off on, but I was thinking about it, how a lot of times like we have our routine and we want our day to go a certain way. But then when something like comes and disrupts it and like knocks you off your fucking ass, which like has happened to me and it happened to me last week and you know what it is, and things knock you off your ass and you're just like, whoa, I did not see that coming. I did not think that was going to happen. Now, what is the bounce back rate, which we talk about? Like, how can I find myself back in this safety space, like home, I'm with Madison, like I know my path, I'm on my routine. What does that look like? And that in between of like trying to bounce back to like your regular like homestead of self, that I like it. I'm just like, whoa, things feel a little rocky and I need to figure this out. What tools that I've cultivated in the last year or two of like my self journey, like what's going to actually help me?
It's like you got plopped in the jungle.
Yeah.
And then you got no map. You got to find your way back.
Yeah. Like literal survivor. And I was like, okay. Cause I was telling Tessa, like I've developed all of these tools to like find myself, but in a bubble, like in a little incubator. And then when things actually happen to you, you have to apply those tools. You're like, oh my God, okay, those 3 do not fucking work. I don't know why I thought they would, but this kind of does. Okay.
It's like the real life application, like with external factors at play.
Right. So it is really cool. And it's like imagining yourself as like this little game piece. And I'm just like, okay, I got to do all these moves and see which one works for me. I like that little in between. It's cool.
Fun. It can be fun. I should say that.
It can be fun.
It can be a fun experience.
It can be fun. I think more so like looking back on it, you're like, that was cool. That's fun.
I don't even know if fun's the right word.
Yeah. In the midst of it, it's like, God, this kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie. It kind of sucks, but I'm grateful for this because I know
it's going to help me grow.
And I'm going to have more endurance for life and strength. And when these situations come around again, this will have helped me. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm yawning. It's just so rude. I'm not bored of what you're saying. I just think that I was holding jaw tension.
That's also just like a myth. Like, I don't know if that's actually true when everyone would be like, well, you're yawning in class because you're bored of the teacher. And I'm
I'm not bored. I'm just like, I have like jaw tension and like probably haven't taken a deep breath.
I've been sitting in this space for 30 minutes and also, we're not breathing. I think that's probably why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you for showing up today, Mad. Thanks for all your great thoughts.
I feel like I did so much talking and now I'm just like, oh my God, what did I even say?
Don't get in your head about it. You did great.
I'll get in my head for a second, but it'll be fine. I know.
And then she'll hear it back and be like, that was a great episode. And then we'll move on.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yes, always.
It'll be fine.
Okay. Well, you guys have a great week.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you on the next episode.
Yeah, make sure you're subscribed, please, and thanks.
Yeah,
and there's my foot.
Yeah,
enjoy it.
Exactly. Just put it up there for longer. We can make it the cover. Oh my God, that was a good one.
If you're not watching, I spread my toes on the camera. Bye.
Oh my God.
Bye.
Talk soon.